Hello and thank you for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali and here's the headlines. Information Minister Lai Mohammed seeks more partnership against COVID-19 fight. Federal government restates commitment to ridding the nation of armed bandits as Inspector General of Police leads delegation to Zamfara State. And as global coronavirus cases hit 14 million, India joins ranks of 1 million case countries. President Muhammadu Buhari had an hour's closed-door meeting with the Senate President, Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, and the Speaker House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, at the State House, Aso Villa. A statement from the President's Senior Special Assistant says the meeting discussed a wide range of issues of national importance, particularly the role of the legislature as a critical component in supporting their common goal and commitments towards improving the lives of the people of Nigeria. The meeting touched on recent events at the National Assembly, to which the President re-emphasized his utmost respect for the National Assembly, saying any disrespect to the institution by any member of the executive branch will not be accepted. The statement also urges ministers and all heads of departments and agencies of governments to conduct themselves in ways that will not undermine the National Assembly as an institution, its leadership and members. The President and the leaders of the National Assembly recognize and acknowledge that the executive and legislative arms of governments are essential partners in the fulfillment of their mutually aligned goal of improving the lives of the Nigerian people. And President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed delight at the news of appointment of Professor Charles Egbu from Anambra State as Vice-Chancellor of Leeds Trinity University, United Kingdom. A statement from the President's Special Advisor, Media and Publicity, says the President felicitates with the academic who is the first black person appointed as helmsman of a ranked university in the UK, urging him to continue to proudly hold the flag of Nigeria aloft in all his endeavors in the elevated position. It adds that with wide experience as Pro-Chancellor at the University of East London, Dean of the School of Building Environments and Architecture at London South Bank University, and stints at University of Salford, University College London, Glasgow, Caledonian University, Leeds Beckett University, among others, the President has no doubt that Professor Egbu will acquaint himself creditably once again in the new assignments. The President says Professor Egbu, a foremost quantity surveyor with 12 books and over 350 publications to his credit, is a worthy example of an industrious Nigerian whom the younger generation should adopt as a role model. He urges the new VC, who assumes office in November, to build on the strong foundations laid by his predecessors at the university, where he is equally an alumnus. Meanwhile, the federal government has appealed to Rotary International to leverage on its community engagement strategy to assist Nigeria in mitigating the COVID-19 community spread in the country. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed made the appeal when he granted audience to the newly elected governor of Rotary International District 9125 in Abuja. Anthony Forson has the reports.
Known globally for its community service and the promotion of peace, the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, said Rotary Club is therefore relevant today in the midst of the present raging pandemic in history, pointing out that as at the moment, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected about 14 million people globally with over 592 deaths. Nigeria has a total of 34,854 cases and 796 deaths as at Friday morning. Therefore, it will need every support and assistance. As the federal government, through the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, has continued to battle the pandemic, but with a conviction that it cannot do it alone.
Specifically, the Rotary can help in setting up sample collection centers across the country to increase the number of tests, which is a crucial step in our trace, test, isolate, and treat strategy. Today, we have increased the number of laboratories for COVID-19 tests from just 2 in January this year to 40. And we are ready to test as many Nigerians as possible in order to curtail the spread of the virus.
On Nigeria's polio-free status, the minister commended Rotary for their great role.
I make this appeal because of Rotary's great role in the recent eradication of polio in Nigeria. Working through Rotary, Nigeria's Polio Plus Committee, this respected organization helped vaccination to reach the remote areas of the country to ensure that every child received the polio vaccine. The result is what we have today, a polio-free Nigeria.
The newly elected governor of Rotary International District 9125, Jumoke Bamigboye, expressed gratitude to the minister and assured that Rotary International District 9125 will energize a robust relationship with the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture to promote, among other things, Nigeria's rich culture and heritage. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Now, global cases of coronavirus has surpassed 14 million as India becomes the third country in the world to record more than 1 million infections from the virus. Joyce Ometu brings us developments on the global health crisis.
More than 14 million people worldwide have now contracted coronavirus. This grim milestone is coming barely 3 days after cases hit 13 million. Statistics by Worldometer as at 6 p.m. show that 594,975 persons have died after contracting the virus, while 8,358,402 patients have recovered. Africa records 669,594 cases, 14,483 deaths, and 347,629 recoveries. And Nigeria currently has 34,854 confirmed cases, 769 deaths, and 14,292 patients recovered. In other news, India on Friday became the third country in the world to record more than 1 million cases of coronavirus. Currently, only the United States and Brazil have higher cases than India. With a population of around 1.3 billion, experts say 1 million is relatively low. The number is expected to rise significantly in the coming months as testing increases. Meanwhile, hospitals in Brazil are struggling to cope with the influx of coronavirus patients as confirmed cases cross 2 million, making it the world's second worst hit nation by the pandemic. In the meantime, Israel has brought back some lockdown measures following a second surge in the number of coronavirus infections, putting in place stringent weekend shutdowns. The government announced the measures Friday following a marathon emergency cabinet session. In another development, European leaders are back in Brussels for the first time in about 5 months after the try to finalize a deal over a €750 billion recovery fund. The 27 European Union governments have been at loggerheads for months over how to mitigate the economic shock from coronavirus. And that's a global update on COVID-19. Thanks for watching. I am Joyce Ometu.
And still on coronavirus disease, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court of Nigeria, Justice John Uhu, has gone on 2 weeks self-isolation following a confirmed case of COVID-19 among his official aides. The Chief Judge has ordered some key staff in his office to do the same pending the outcome of his test results and that of his family members as well as close aides, while urging the staff of the court to go about their lawful duties. The Chief Judge encouraged strict compliance to precautionary medical protocols issued by national and international health authorities to curb the spread of COVID-19. And away from health matters, former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan is leading a delegation constituted by the Economic Community of West African States to Mali to mediate in the political crisis in that country. The delegation arrived at Bamako, the Malian capital, on Wednesday and has been discussing with parties involved until early hours of Friday. This include President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, opposition leaders, religious organizations, and civil society organizations. Former President Goodluck Jonathan thanked Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari for his support by providing a plane as well as other needed logistics for the assignments. And joining us via Skype to discuss the Malian issues, Professor Jibrin Ibrahim, Senior Fellow, Center for Democracy and Development, Abuja. Professor Ibrahim, welcome to NTA International.
Good evening.
Now, of recent, Mali has been the hotbed of crisis in the West African sub-region. What made this poor country so vulnerable?
I think the key issue in Mali has been the rapidly declining legitimacy of the government over the past few years. This is linked to the 2012 crisis when Islamic insurgents tried to take over the whole country and they needed to bring in foreign support to stop them. The problem has been since that time, they have not been able to control the deteriorating security situation in the country. But the last election had been extremely problematic as well, where there's widespread suspicion that President Keita's government manipulated the election to have an outcome. The result is a massive civil society movement that has been regularly protesting to bring down the government. So it's a very difficult situation.
Now, the leadership in Mali was democratically elected. What, in your opinion, eroded public confidence in the president so much so that the people want him out of office now?
I think the first issue was the way in which the Constitutional Court validated candidates for the ruling party as winners of the elections, while people expected other parties had won a majority. That put a strong dent on the legitimacy of the government. But it's also the fact that there are regular attacks all over Mali on innocent civilian populations, and people feel that the government is completely incapable of assuring their security.
Now, the sub-regional body, ECOWAS, is already intervening in the situation in Mali through a delegation led by Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan. What do you envisage would be the outcome of this intervention?
Well, President Goodluck Jonathan has a very tough job before him because he has to persuade both sides, that's the government and the opposition, to compromise. What the president is saying is that there's no basis for him to step down because he's democratically elected. What the opposition are saying is that he has no legitimacy and he must resign immediately. These positions are very far apart. Goodluck Jonathan has the huge task of trying to map out a compromise in which each side will give way so that they find a political situation to the problem they are facing.
We thank you, Professor Ibrahim, for your contributions.
Thank you.
That was Professor Ibrahim contributing there on the situation in Mali. Now, you're watching the news on NTA International. More stories will come your way after this break. Do stay tuned.
And aggressive disease containment.
Now on lockdown.
It is one of the measures taken by the country.
How long is all this for? Scientists say that's the big question.
News that connects you globally, from the world to your home, with 4 leading news channels 24/7. Live breaking stories on GoTV. GoTV.
Thank you for joining us again. Now, Governor Bello Muhammad of Zamfara State has emphasized the urgent need for enhanced synergy and interagency collaboration in the federal government's renewed commitment to end banditry and other related crimes in the state. The governor, who made the remark while receiving a powerful delegation of heads of security agencies led by the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, at Government House Gusau, described Zamfara State as the epicenter of banditry in the country. Salamatu Umar Abdullah has the reports.
Delegation of heads of security agencies led by the Inspector General of Police Muhammad Adamu was in Zamfara State on the mandate of President Muhammadu Buhari to rub minds with relevant stakeholders on how to perfect the ongoing effort to achieve lasting peace in the state. Members of the delegation, including Director General Department of State Security, his National Intelligence Agency counterpart, and the Chief of Defense Intelligence, among others, met with Governor Bello Muhammad and other critical stakeholders at the Government House, Gusau.
And the route through which arms come into Zamfara, we're aware of the route, and we're aware of the fact that some people know the people that are bringing these arms into the country from the neighboring countries. And we needed to get information firsthand from you so that we can engage them head on.
All the bandits, their heads, their parents, most of them are in Zamfara State. They only migrate to other states to go and attack or to make a lot of sort of crimes and come back to Zamfara State.
The meeting, which later went into a closed-door session, lasted for an hour. The delegations was also at the palace of the Emir of Gusau, Alhaji Ibrahim Bello, where the monarch advocated for a decisive measure to identify and deal with informants and other collaborators of the bandits. From Gusau, Salamatu Umar Abdullahi, NTA News.
And from Gusau, we come back to the National Assembly. Now, the House of Representatives has summoned the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, to appear before the House Committee investigating NDDC on Monday next week. Also summoned is the Acting Managing Director of NDDC, Professor Daniel Punde. Here is the report. The Niger Delta Development Commission is on allegations of financial malfeasance and other activities of the Commission. Of interest to the National Assembly is how the current management allegedly expended more than 82 billion naira between January and May 2020. The appearance and submission of the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs and the Acting Managing Director is therefore of essence.
Parliamentary work are not meant to be done on the streets. They're meant to be undertaken in the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly. We want to assure Nigerians that more than ever before, that this committee, and by extension, the House of Representatives, is committed.
The former Managing Director of NDDC, Joy Nunye, in a virtual presentation to the committee, dwells on what transpired between her office and the supervising ministry on issues pertaining to contracts, forensic audit, and other administrative matters.
I refused to go before FEC, which is one of the issues of insubordination, because the Act says that if I commit any offense, 5 years imprisonment without an option of fine. So, in going to FEC, it will mean that I intentionally went there to obtain an approval under false pretenses.
Other stakeholders who made submissions urged the committee to carry out the investigation without fear or favor. The investigative hearing will continue on Monday, 20th July. Now to political issues. The All Progressives Congress has expressed readiness to conduct an indirect governorship primary election in Ondo State. Chairman Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Committee of the party, Maimala Buni, inaugurated the party's 18-member primary and primary appeal committees as the party's national secretariat in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi has the story.
This has been settled that the Ondo primaries election will be conducted via indirect primaries.
This statement by the chairman of APC Ondo Governorship Primary Election Committee, Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has finally laid to rest speculation and agitations on the mode of primary to adopt. The caretaker and extraordinary National Convention Committee of the party, he says, has laid foundation to ensure a hitch-free exercise through a reconciliation committee that has since commenced work.
It is not within the purview of contestants to choose rules of engagement. We follow laid down rules and regulations of the party. As a member, we should abide by the rules and regulations. Our party constitution, the guidelines for the election, the Nigeria's constitution 1999 as amended, and the Electoral Act.
Chairman, Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Committee, Maimala Buni, reaffirmed his intention to restore unity, equity, peace and fair play in administering the APC and urged the party's governorship aspirants to reciprocate the gesture through respect for internal party democracy.
And as loyal party members, we expect you to accept the outcome of the primary in good faith. You should have control over your supporters against any act that is detrimental to the success of the exercise and of breach to peace.
The two committees have 9 members each. 12 aspirants have been cleared by APC to participate in the Ondo governorship primary scheduled to hold on the 20th July 2020. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And in other news, the number of architects in Nigeria has continued to grow with the induction of 53 new members and 10 firms. Performing the ceremony virtually, President of Architects Registration Council of Nigeria, Gabriel Oladipupo Ajayi, advised architects to use their talents to advance socio-economic and political developments of the nation. Uyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
Architects Registration Council of Nigeria was established in 1969. The council is empowered to, among others, register and regulate the training of architects as well as the practice of architecture in Nigeria in all ramifications. The induction of the new architects is usually a big ceremony for the council, but COVID-19 did not allow such mass gathering. As such, the 9th ceremony was conducted virtually in line with the government's protocol to curb the spread of the virus. President of the council, Sir Gabriel Oladipupo Ajayi, advised architects to be more proactive and learn more about business strategies in order to move forward. The registrar of the council, Umar Morune, emphasized the need for architects to obtain their architect's project registration number.
Phone devices, all applications to achieve the monitoring of activity in homes in terms of security, in terms of interaction, in terms of social visits into places. So these are the effects that they have to think when they are designing. They must think more of health and the preservation of our environment.
In fact, we must commend His Excellency, the Minister of FCD, Mohammed Musa, for giving us all the support. And with that, we are able to achieve a lot of things. In fact, the success of it is that so far, APRN, especially in Abuja, where it is fully implemented, has done away with quackery, building failure and collapses.
Some inductees expressed joy over their feats.
I, as the chairman of practice committee of the council, we have looked into this seriously, and we have made recommendations on how we can prevent, like my colleague had said, Akide Frank. It's all about enforcement. It's all about enforcement by the relevant agencies of government of the relevant laws.
So far, the Architects Registration Council of Nigeria has registered 4,807 architects in the country. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Sports news now. Nigeria's Super Eagles retain third best in Africa as Belgium takes FIFA's first position. Ayodeji Makinde tells us more on Sports Update.